We hope you're tied on because we are off and running. Little Sunday edition of Gulfstream today. It is sunny Hallandale Beach, beautiful Gulfstream Park. Keisha, Courtney, Jason Blewett alongside our little paddock studios alive and well. The bright lights of Hallandale Beach on us, and a happy Father's Day to all the dads out there.
Absolutely. A very happy Father's Day. And if you're joining us here at Gulfstream today, of course, you have the buffet up in 10 Palms, lots of great racing as well. But more than anything, happy Father's Day to our heroes. You know, I'm very excited to get a chance to see my dad tomorrow, a day late, but a happy Father's Day to all of the dads and father figures out there.
Right. This is your final day working for the next couple of weeks, right?
I'll be off for the next couple weeks, and I'll be back in July. So I'll see you soon.
All right, July right around the corner. On the second half of June already. Where does the time go? And with the big mandatory madness Rainbow Six payoff and carryover out of the way, and congratulations to all the winners. I was surprised at how many people were alive, even with that bomb that won the second to last leg at around 20 to 1 or so and paid $42 to win. And then getting the Peter Vesgo, Phil Gleaves homebred in the nightcap, the Soldier's Dancer, paid a little over $27,000. So with that out of the way, and again, a hearty congratulations from all of us here at Gulfstream Park, we begin the countdown to the July 1st Summit of Speed, which is always a can't-miss event here in South Florida.
It really is. A couple of Breeders' Cup winning urine races to the Filly and Mare Sprint and the Breeders' Cup Sprint, and always great racing on that afternoon, and some nice 2-year-old stakes as well. Thinking back to last year with 3-year-olds and Cajun Delta Dawn, I mentioned it before, just top to bottom, fantastic day of racing here in Florida.
And a solid, it appears on paper. A number of well-connected 2-year-olds will be gunning for a top prize of a $50,000 maiden special weight a bit later in the Sunday card. On Father's Day here at Gulfstream Park, one of the great traditions, spending Father's Day with Dad and the family at the racetrack. Good stuff there. And speaking of good stuff, boy, oh boy, we had the crazy prices to finish off yesterday's card. Back-to-back, essentially 20 to 1 shots in races 10 and 11. And with the 11th and the fact that Enterprising was basically out of the number at 3 to 5, that triggered 2 consecutive major carryovers in the Super High 5. And that's where we begin. This is the biggest, hands down the biggest, since I got to Florida, the biggest Super High 5 by a long ways. This will be fun to watch in today's opener.
It will, and I mentioned this before, when there's a solid carryover in that Super High 5, it is bet, and especially when you have something like this. As you said, everything paid out in the Rainbow Six yesterday, but you have that fantastic carryover. It starts right in the first race. That's any race with 7 runners or more. So right off the bat, you've got more than $80,000 on the line.
And a non-firm first race post today of around 115, probably a little after 115, as we spend a good portion of this Sunday card on the Gulfstream Park turf. Listed as firm, race number 1, in addition to that $82,000 carryover in the Super High 5, coincides with the start of the early pick 5 today. Just a 50-cent wager. We begin anew in race number 6. It took us a while, but we finally, with the mandatory payout, gave out well over $1 million, multi-millions, in fact, in Saturday's Rainbow Six. So there you go, Rainbow Six, start getting back into the swing of things with no carryover in race number 6 today. And of course, Acacia way down the line in race number 7. There's another pick 5 to be had.
Yeah, and I'll take a stab once again at that Rainbow Six. Like always, didn't go quite as expensive with the ticket today as we are starting anew, but you never know what can happen the day after. We've seen if they hit the Rainbow Six or a mandatory payout, people can come back right again the next day and get some good payoffs or even hit that one unique ticket.
Beauty of the track, it's a new day full of promise and 11 races and some good-sized fields here at Gulfstream Park. And here's the starting off this Father's Day with a winning pick 5. We'll take a look at my play as we are fast and firm, and we set sail in the first race, which features a real, I think, to be fair, key rematch off a group that ran against each other back on May the 28th. I like those horses, and they are anchoring my play in the first. It's on to the second race. We did have a major scratch, and there were very few, to be fair, scratches and changes on the program, but the 3 Atlantic Sunrise out, hurts everybody else's price as far as what they go off at, but I think it makes the 4 Hollywood Tomcat that much tougher. On to a 3-horse spread, 5, 6, 7 once again in race number 3, and then in the 4th, we will stand alone with Frank Carl Calabrese and trainer Angel Rodriguez. They've got the one, got some mojo, and then 4, 5, 7 for me in the back end. A lot of words there, but I hope we hit it for $13.50. And getting back to this first race, Acacia, we begin with the field of 6, a $10,000 claimer. These are 3 and up fillies and mares. They meet at a 2-turn mile, and you and I, for the most part, we both have the 5 and 7 very much in the mix, but you are a fan of the number 3 in race number 1. That's Who's That Chick.
And she's actually coming out of the same race as Vow Me Over and Looking for Money, and they were all 3 of them very close coming down towards the wire, and I thought, I agree with you. I think that that is a strong race that these horses are coming out
Yeah,
of.
why don't we take a look at that one? Again, you've got the trio coming out of the 8th race over a firm turf course on May the 28th. Now, highlighted here towards the front of the pack, the number 5, Vow Me Over, who's in the white cap 3 wide. You've got the number 3, Looking for Money, who's in the black Midwest Silks. And we also have your horse, Who's That Chick, who's the number 3, I thought, who got a very good ride that afternoon from Miguel Vasquez, who was aboard. If we could just pause it there, guys, let's take a look at the number 3. That is Looking for Money, who's down inside, who, when it comes down to it, might not have been that happy on the inside. And again, this was a very, I thought, taxing trip for the number 5, Vow Me Over, Acacia, who attacked the pace and did so hard. And then we've got, lastly, Who's That Chick? That's Acacia's pick in the black cap. Let's let it roll from there. In fact, Acacia, your pick's outside. Let me clear this here. All right, there's the 8 on the outside. Who's That Chick in the first race?
Yeah, Who's That Chick was actually widest of all, but I agree with you. I think you make a good point about Looking for Money. I don't think she was very comfortable on the inside in that race, and she got the lead early and then kind of settled back and was kind of stuck in that uncomfortable position in there. Vow Me Over closing a bit wide, and I certainly respect the win that she had last time out. Now, she is first off the claim in the barn of Keith Bourgeois, who I think his horses always come to the racetrack looking good, but we just haven't seen the kind of win percentage that we were expecting from the barn as of yet. I did think it was the most taxing trip for Who's That Chick. Now, she does have to sit a little bit closer to the pace than she did last time because she was towards the back of the pack and was widest of all closing. So on the trip handicapping, that's who I did land on, and I think that you have to respect all of the horses coming out of that race.
And it's funny, we just have a straight-up difference of opinion, which is fine. Watching races is very subjective. I thought the 5, Vow Me Over, ran far better than anybody else in there with that wide attacking bid on the far turn, and she clearly sustained it. I've had a lot of trouble picking which Keith Bourgeois horse is going to win. It feels like I land on his horses all the time. Here's to a win in the first with the 5, Vow Me Over, with Ramsey Zimmerman riding. But a nice little rematch to get the card started. Let's move on to race number 2. It's an all-turf double on this Sunday card at GP. Field of 6 awaits in this $10,000 3 and up filly mare claimer. And talking about that scratch of the 3 Atlantic Sunrise, I do think we're looking at an even tougher and a very short price on the horse, 4-year-old filly, who you and I have on top. That is Hollywood Tomcat for Chuck Simon. Let's go back, well, 2 back on April 27th, a victory for this 4-year-old filly who's out for a lifetime score, number 3. Got a good ride this day from jockey Tyler Gaffleone.
She certainly did, and I think she was compromised by the outside posts last time out, and that was kind of a weird race as well, where just a lot of horses were wide, but I thought a big performance from her in here to win, and the key scratch of Atlantic Sunrise was a big pace setter in here, so I do kind of wonder how the pace is going to shake out. Maybe Miss Regal Light will inherit the lead and show the speed like she did 2 back, but nice performance from Hollywood Tomcat.
Yeah, perhaps for Chuck Simon, that is, and Tyler G. She just timed it right after that key early scratch of Atlantic Sunrise. Let's move on to race number 3 as we continue on. In fact, an all-turf pick 3 to begin the action with this 3 and up, $30,000 to $25,000 claimer. And again, claiming race in race number 3. And as far as last out races go, you've got a victory against maiden 35 claimers for Porter Street, who's on the outside and will look to start as a major player in the 3rd and one of 2 key Angel Rodriguez trained horses in legs 3 and 4, Acacia, of the pick 5. This filly, or I should say colt, excuse me, by Giants Causeway, was 3 to 5 most recently and surged past late He is back for the 30K claiming tag.
He is, and it's interesting because moved from the high percentage barn, of course, of Wesley Warden to another high percentage barn in Angel Rodriguez, and you can see on the outside the number 4 just closing very strongly. Now, that being said, this was not a strong field. There's just no real better way to put it. And I think that he meets tougher competition today. He did drop off the trainer switch, and he will stick on the turf. So I respect that win, but just thinking he has to step up his game today.
He does. Now, speaking of stepping up games, Angel Rodriguez has had a couple of wins over the last 2 days here at Gulfstream. He had Sarah Queenby in the slop on Friday, who won by nearly 14, and a win in yesterday's opening leg of the Rainbow Six was never in doubt for Gone Astray. I do wonder if this is a barn, and again, it's not like they run big-priced horses. They drop a lot. They're always an outfit that gets bet. But just looking at the last couple of days, maybe Angel Rodriguez is a trainer worth really keeping an eye on because his horses were explosive in winning on both Friday and Saturday. That being said, I have a stat. Didn't send it in, but last out maiden winners returning and claiming races for Angel Rodriguez. The barn just won for their last 21 for 5%. I think that's a good nugget there. So that leads me in the direction of the 5 more Alex, who I think when it comes down to it, quite simply, is just a logical contender, moving back to his preferred surface for a trainer I like in Elizabeth Dobles, and his last turf race he ran second. And speaking of weird races, that was a race in which Toast of the Kitten refused at the start. It was a 5-horse field after that, slow pace, and this horse never had a chance, just chasing the winner throughout.
I actually think More Alex is the best horse in this race, and I've thought that several times of him. The problem is that he does not break. Every comment is dwelt at the start, slow start, and that's just always what he does, even when moving into the barn of Elizabeth Dobles.
It is pretty incredible.
She did get him to the winner's circle, but he just does not break sharply. So it seems like everything that they've tried, that's just what his habit is. That's just kind of how he runs. But he certainly is a strong runner. You just always kind of wonder, is he going to get there? And he managed to get there a couple starts back by just a nose. But I went with a horse that's dropping in class and has some speed, and I think the speed is going to be the key. King Hood moved to the turf, wired the field going 9 furlongs, and still won by open lengths. Has been running recently against way tougher, way over his head, I think. And I think that he has a lot of talent. He ran into the likes of DeRoche or 2 back, who was in excellent form at the time. The only other speed main speed I saw in this race or to the inside in Grand Nanuco and Dreamy Martini, who are both kind of off the layoff, off trainer switch, is kind of questionable pace scenario. So I thought on the drop, King Hood could get it done today.
All right, we'll see. Clearly, I think the major firepower post 5 through the 7. You agree. I think all 3 are must-uses in leg number 3 of this early pick 5. And we continue on. We get right back to trainer Angel Rodriguez, who, again, has got a big chance to win at least a couple today at Gulfstream Park in successive fashion. Our opening dirt race on the card and a rare 2-turn event on the main track. I always like when they break in front of the stands. They will do so in the 4th at a mile and a 16th. Claiming tags in this one, 62.50, and you get your typical Frank Carl Calabrese move, claiming the one. Got some mojo most recently for 10. They jam him right back in for the 62.50, and we've got a stat. Is this a good stat, a bad stat with the barn?
It's a good stat, but it's a small sample size. This is over the past 5 years. First off the claim, going from turf to dirt. It's only actually done it 4 times over the past 5 years, but 2 of them have won and 3 of them have finished in the money. So it's kind of an all or nothing type thing, and he spots them well, really, and it's a positive ROI of 275. Now, this horse certainly promises to be a short price, but as you said, first off the claim, dropping in class, he has a win over a fast main track. He also gets the blinker, so you would imagine it's kind of like throwing the kitchen sink at this horse, but that's not an unusual move for the barn. And you were talking about their explosive victories. That's not unusual either, and I think this is another opportunity right here.
I hope that's the case, as Tyler Gaffleone has really picked up some traction. He seems to be, along with Ramsey Zimmerman, but even maybe more of a notch in the nod of Tyler, the first call rider of late for trainer Angel Rodriguez. My price horse, or at least bigger price horse than got some mojo, is the 7 High Quality Prince. He's a real iron warrior. I mean, this is start number 18 on the year. He ran 18 times last season in 2016 as a 5-year-old. He'll be running for the 18th time this go-round for Angel Quiroz. Maybe he needs a layoff, but if he doesn't, I think he's quite simply dirtied up off his last 3, catching a turf race 3 back and and most recently a couple of sloppy tracks. He was my idea. You like the Cole 1-4 Exacta.
I do. Just thinking friends with K-Mill, had a couple of turf races, went back to the fast main track last time and got the win. He's in good form lately for a sharp outfit.
Halfway home or thereabouts on the program. It's race number 5, and boy, oh boy, first half of this Father's Day card at Gulfstream, heavily dominated by racing on the turf as we hit the green once again at 7.5 furlongs with this 3-and-up $10,000 claimer. These are fillies and mares at a race in which I was just looking at before we came on the air, and looking at it even a few moments ago, my one opinion is I don't really have an opinion on this race. Beauty of a Day is where you and I went. I would feel most comfortable using every bit of Flying Dude, the 4, the 5, Hold That Kitten, and the 7, Beauty of a Day.
And this is a wide open affair. I think you're absolutely right about that. And Beauty of a Day, I landed on her because she's always a filly that I've kind of had an affinity for, and I think that she's had a lot of talent, but maybe just sometimes found herself in the wrong spot. She has kind of descended down the claiming scale. She got the win at the 12-5 non-winners of 2. A couple starts back, they were on the turf, they were on the dirt. She didn't really handle the slop last time, but Elizabeth Albus always has her well turned out coming to the track, and I loved her win on the turf a couple starts back. So I think she's back in for a tag where she can be successful. She has that natural talent, and I think it's really just about spotting with this filly.
We spot, well, a Rainbow 6 today on Father's Day. Wouldn't that be something, a day after the $27,000 payoff? You hit it today with Dad on Father's Day. We'll have Acacia's ticket and a lot more on the other side of this quick timeout on GP Today.
At ExpressBet, we celebrate the champions that make horse racing great. That's why we provide more ways to bet from more places than ever. We've built an entire family of brands to give players more of the rewards they deserve, give bettors the information they need to win, and provide a community for horse bettors. Because the best way to support the champions of horse racing is to champion horse racing. ExpressBet. We are racing.
And we're back on this Sunday edition of Gulfstream Today, coming to you live from our paddock studios. Acacia and Jason, glad you're with us. Second portion of this Father's Day program. Again, happy Father's Day to all the dads out there. We will have a big crowd on track, and hopefully you're one of them as we turn our attention to race number 6. The fireworks went off late yesterday. It was really great, both on track and even on social media, just seeing the buzz that humongous carryover and mandatory payout in the Rainbow 6 created. We begin anew, and I'm feeling like, well, you've got a winning ticket coming our way.
I hope so. As I said, not as expensive for me today. I did find a single. We'll give you a look at my ticket. We had more than 4.5 million additional money bet into the sequence yesterday with a roughly $1 million carryover just to start. So again, congratulations if you had a winning ticket yesterday afternoon. But I'll use 2 horses to start things off. Knockout Ranger should be tough. Also using the rail horse Elite Kid, using just 2 in the 7th as well. Spreading in both the 8th and the 9th races. I thought the 8th, that maiden special weight, is pretty tough. And I think you have a couple horses with experience that should be live, but a couple interesting firsters as well. So using all of them, trying to find some value. Again, spreading in the 9th as well. My single will come with the 10 in High Brazil for trainer Todd Pletcher. In Todd Pletcher, we trust as we get there. And then 3 deep in the finale for $38.40.
So it's High Brazil down the road in race number 10 to anchor the play, and he does look pretty good and spotted to finally, or in a way, finally break his maiden. He's only running for the 3rd time this afternoon, but he does look tough at a short price. And Knockout Ranger, we don't want anybody knocked out of this this opening leg of Sunday's Rainbow 6. And he starts as, I think, a horse, and clearly only one of 2 you used in this opening leg of the sequence. I think he's going to be tough for trainer Larry Pilati. If we could backtrack to the 2nd race on May 21st, his last fast track effort, he's vying outside, and if we can just, again, we picked it up, and a great job by the boys upstairs highlighting Knockout Ranger outside. You can watch that. It just, if we can pause it here, it looks like he's got this inside horse who wound up beating him. And Nico's on the run. It looked like basically from the 3/8 pole to the wire that he had him dead to rights. As this day ran, and we can roll the tape from basically the 3/16 pole home, 8th pole home, this was a day in which speed was just carrying on the rail, and you found horses throughout the day on the main getting enervated. I think this is a huge effort against the bias with a wickedly tough trip, and Knockout Ranger is getting the dough.
He is, and the horse that did end up nabbing him for second, Kanane, came back to win next time out. He was also really late to switch his leads, which I think might have hurt him as well in that stretch run. So I think Knockout Ranger taking the blinkers off, maybe kind of let him relax a little bit more in the stretch. Now that he certainly has experience on his side with 10 starts so far, Miguel Vasquez back in the saddle. But as I said, I also had some interest in the one elite kid who last time out he got really worked up behind the gate. So maybe now with some experience, and there was a very slight bump after the break if you watch that. I don't think it really affected him, but there was some nice late follow through behind a runaway winner. So I'll use him trying to get a price in there as well.
Back to the main, and again, the 8 Bite the Bit did not do much running in that aforementioned race against Knockout Ranger. He's one I would take a look at as well. His last looks pretty ugly, but again, you do get some exaggerated bad or good-looking performances over biased tracks, which I believe was the case. On a race number 7, Acacia and everybody else there watching Gulfstream today, $10,000 3-and-up claimer. We turf it here, going a 2-turn mile. Saw a couple of real nice rides yesterday that come to mind. Edgar Zayas in the opening stake on the program, the Ginger Punch, and getting that forward position was something else that ultimately, I think, turned out to be the winning move. We saw it last time out with Tyler Gaffalione on May 27th as we used the spotlight and go back to the 5th race towards the end of last month when he got his position going forward. That's a phrase I learned and was drilled into my head for good reason by the one and only Richard Migliori. And I think this horse, after we roll through this replay, is a must-use in any sort of late pick 5. Here he is down on the rail, fighting off everybody, including the number 2 Rory, who's got the white saddle towel, who did not get his position going forward, and it cost him the victory.
Absolutely agree with you. I thought he was ultra game in this performance, and I totally agree with what you were saying about the rides yesterday and what we saw last time in kind of acknowledging the lack of serious pace, putting a horse in a good spot on the front end. I really considered singling this horse. Did back it up with the 8 as well, but he's coming in very strong.
Yeah, I did not single him in this pick 5 we'll show you. I also used the number 4 Road Warrior Max, who seems to be pretty sharp and obviously likes to ply his trade toward the front of the pack. And give me a little 7 horse in Red Button as well as he makes his second start of the summer meet here at Gulfstream Park. That could be a profitable move for Ron Fauché, a horse that's gotten the lay of the land. Moving on and just kind of fast forwarding through the subsequent legs, it comes down and there's going to be a lot of pressure and weight in race number 10 on the 3 High Brazil for the Pletcher Barn. Let's move on. Race number 8 as we continue to pick off one race at a time on this 11-race card. We bring on a group of 2-year-old $50,000 maiden special weight runners going 5 furlongs. Quite a bit going on in here. Number of horses, in fact, a couple of the key contenders have already run, including the 5 Goody and the number 3 Yeehaw.
Which is a pretty fun name to say. The Yeehaw 4 trainer Patrick Bianconi actually debuted on the turf. He's going to try the dirt today. He's also getting blinkers and LASIK. So it's a lot of changes for this 2-year-old, I know, but I did find a stat with trainer Patrick Bianconi that will show 2-year-olds adding blinkers for the first time. It's not a big sample size, but just looking over the past year, 5 years, 3 out of 10 winning, 6 out of 10 in the money, more than $3 ROI. So just thought it was a bit of an interesting one to show. Thought it was a big jockey change to Emi Sale Jaramillo as well. But as you can remember, I actually spread using 4 horses with this 2-year-old race. I thought it was a wide open one.
Yeah, Sano's got a firster with Tyler Gaffalione by Union Rags on the outside, who's been training forwardly with some good-looking breezes across town at GPW. You've got a real blue-collar sort of backyard stallion Florida pedigree with the number 2 Easter Vigil. It's by a horse I never heard of, Brooks and Down, who
We've
I
seen
looked up.
quite a few down
Have
here.
you? Yeah. See, I'm still very much getting acclimated to the lay of the land here in South Florida with some of these stallions, but I root for horses like that. Anxious to see what he can do for Edgar and Ralph Nix, and we would be remiss not to mention and really spend a second or so on the 5 Goody, who's added that You Ms. Blue, who's a little up there in age, but she's been a good producer and was a quality race mare a little over 10 years ago back in the Big Big Apple for Billy Badgett and Jimmy Jerkins. And I like Bal Harbour, who broke his mane last week with the tough trip in the slop. I also think, at least as far as a horse-for-horse base goes, or case I should say, that Goody is coming out of the deepest two-year-old race we've run so far.
I would agree with that. I thought that was a very strong race. Obviously, Scrapper was a high-priced son of Orb for Todd Pletcher, and Diamond Oops, just a beautifully prepared horse for B and Cone in there as well. So definitely a strong race. And Brethren, freshman sire, did actually have his first winner actually at Evangeline the other day. So maybe things are going to start getting rolling yet, as we haven't really seen much from his progeny as of yet. But maybe experience is going to help Goody.
I do. I think he's got foundation, and he's a fast horse. He vied hard with Scrapper, who, again, was bet off the board after going for $600K as a two-year-old in training. Race number 9 on the card. We stay on the main track. 62.53 and up claimers in the 9th race. I'm looking for a bit of a stalker slash finisher to get the job here. I think you're going to get some speed with the 7, the Long Walk, the number 9, Shackelford Storm, maybe some early foot as well from the rail with the 1 Dramatic Entry. Nutty Boy. Hope he's got his mind on running. Hope he's cool, calm, and collected. Nutty Boy, be relaxed, but get the win. And what's the stat we've got with him?
We have Antonio Sano in the past 5 years looking at dirt sprints, 3rd off the layoff at the maiden claiming level. Now, it's excellent percentages, 21% winning, 63% of the time in the money out of a solid sample size of 24. Not a good ROI, just above $1, but I think he ran well in the slop last time behind Spurs and Bows, who's been in fantastic form. That race 2 starts back, also behind Spurs and Bows. He was just beaten in next, so his races off the layoff have been very good. I would imagine today would be the day.
All right, and today is the day, or the 10th is the race that brings down the curtain on the main track. Our final dirt race of this Father's Day weekend goes as race 10, 42K purse. These are 3 and up maiden special weight runners. Todd Pletcher, who does not have a 2-year-old starter in race number 8, is in the mix here with a pair of runners. The 3 High Brazil, who was very game and stubborn most recently, will backtrack and use the spotlight. A couple days after the Kentucky Derby on May the 7th, it was High Brazil. In fact, this might have been Derby weekend when he vied hard and in the end could not hold off Prince Tito Acacia, who had kept some good company throughout the championship meet. In fact, had run pretty well against the likes of Eastport and Donwell. I don't think he meets that caliber today and is taking a graduate at a short price.
I absolutely agree, and I've really liked High Brazil in all two of his races, in both of his races.
Feels like he's run a lot of times. I know.
Because I've been picking him each time. But I do think that experience is going to help, and they kind of got caught up in a pace duel that did set up for Prince Tito last time as well. We do have a stat for trainer Todd Pletcher on the dirt, looking at maiden special weights and the money last time out at Gulfstream. And it's a big sample size.
Goodness.
And
Holy
it's nearly
smokes.
an even ROI. And I think when you have a sample size like that with such a specific stat, and it's an ROI like that, I mean, that just speaks volumes as to what the work that Todd Pletcher does. And everybody's probably very happy that he doesn't have a runner in that 2-year-old race. Unfortunately for these runners in here, he does have 2 in this maiden special weight. But I thought High Brazil, the one to beat.
And a quick pop to the other Pletcher runner, the 4, It's a Big Boys, a colt by Harlan's Holiday, who you would think, given the name, might have taken this horse a little while to grow into himself. I'll be curious to hear what you have to say about him once you lay eyes on him here in the saddling area in the walking ring down the road in the 10th. But he's been training forwardly at Palm Beach Downs. Out of a Dam, who was pretty good in Artisanal, but she was more of a turf horse.
She was, but she was a stakes winner, so it'll be interesting to see how this horse shows up to the track. He is debuting at 3, so great points. We'll see physically what he looks like. I did break those 2 up with the 6 Mr. Attila. He's kin to grade 1 place Uncle Lino. Kind of been chasing him. He got stuck behind a Pletcher runner in Alcor last time.
And even 4-back was against Timeline, who's going to be a big favorite, probably 1-9, and against a very short field later on up on the Jersey Shore today at Monmouth Park in the Pegasus. And a big day yesterday for Ghost Zapper. A couple wins in the Summertime Oaks at Santa Anita for Bob Baffert and McCracken. Good to see him back for trainer Ian Wilkes, right?
Yes, indeed. That was a nice win by him.
Yeah, very good to see him back and in style. We'll look for him next at the Spa. And we close things out with Dad, hopefully, a 12-5 maiden claimer, 3 and up. We end the week at GP with a 5-furlong sprint. Quickly, I'm going to take the 5, Disco Man. In fact, Acacia and I say, box the 4, 5, 8, and 10, you can't lose. But Disco Man tops a cold number, 5-4 for you and I to end the week.
I think so. You put a big line through that race last time out. I remember that race where he was second by just a length behind Rediscover at a great price. Been trying to get him since, and maybe today will be the day.
And speaking of discoing, our man Pete Aiella, he'll shimmy right into the booth. He's coming your way with the opening set of Sunday Scratches and Changes. Have a great one, and happy Father's Day from all of us here at Gulfstream Park.